Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound County Talk Live. Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound County Talk Live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candy Talk, Open Forum Political Discussion Show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, congratulations to those that shined in the KCSE national exam results that came out today. And of course, different performance from different parts of the country, different schools competing. And that will form part of our discussion as we dive into the education situation. The former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stirred up a debate on the issue of national schools. And it seems to be pushing the William Ruto administration to the defense, as of course they look on how to explain it away politically. But I think it will not go without a fight. And this is one of the things that are really disturbing when it comes to the running of the affairs of matters development in our country. From the look of things, this word development and agenda for development in our country, I don't know how you see it, but from every look of things, a development agenda pushed by the government, to me, it looks like it's just a decoy. It's just, a cover up of some certain deals that are not geared towards actually achieving the purpose which they are deployed. I'm saying this because we just celebrated 62 years of independence. And of all the 62 years of independence, we have never had a collapsed government. There is no time when we did not have a government. All the 62 years have had an active government, cabinets, and everything functioning. And one of the things that was key, even at independence, was education. So I'm asking questions. After 62 years, would we still be having a war over schools and uh, children being allocated in different schools, and it becomes a crisis? That's my question. If indeed we are functioning as a country and our government is devoted to the development of the country, would we be finding ourselves where we are, that we have a number of students that cannot be assimilated in our schools because we don't have enough schools, or the available space for students to be admitted in school are limited. We have excess number of students. And then, of course, now there is this aspect where Gachagua now comes up and says, what was Kwao? Okay. Why haven't they built their own schools? Why haven't they established their own infrastructure? And this is something that I believe needs to get Kenyans to think, and not only to think but to act, and not only act but demand that the government does the right thing. One of the depressing things about successive governments is when government undertakes a project or an exercise for the sake of making money, that we want to attach on education. How much kill can you make from printing examination? How much kill can you make from printing textbooks? How much kill can you make from building classrooms? How much kill can you make in distributing stationary? And so we've become a government of deals other than service and proper development in anticipation of the upcoming population, in preparing them for life. And if we don't turn around, I have a feeling we may just reach a place where we can't go on anymore. And so, what is rising right now as a debate about school allocations is something that needs to get Kenyans to talk. Let's not play games with this. I remember when Moi was exiting, That statement has lived with me all along. Mzee Moi once said, kama hamtaki kujenga shule, muache kuzaa. Kama hamtaegeza katika shule, kama hamtaki kujenga shule, muache kuzaa. Now, that is something that I believe we need to pay close attention to. Because the greatest gifting and the greatest empowerment for any people anywhere on the world is their education. Now, why should we meddle with education when we know it's the greatest equalizer and is the greatest asset in terms of empowering people for the future? Why would we open ourselves to reach a place where we want now to play politics with education? We want to make a kill with education, that the gains you make in terms of cash is now a priority other than the quality of education and, of course, the environment for education and things like that. So I really would want to invite your input on this, but it's really depressing when you hear the exchanges that are taking place, all of it in the pretext of trying to explain what has gone wrong with our education. And then, of course, tribalizing it to make it look bad. But in my opinion, this is a crisis we have created for ourselves. It is almost self-inflicted, and I trust we find a solution to it, which I believe can only come when we take a responsibility. I want us to listen to what Ruto said today about the same issue, and then we come back to open more about what's cooking. Well, let's hear this out first.
Welcome back. President William Ruto has condemned rising political rhetoric surrounding the placement of grade 10 students in national secondary schools, warning that attempts to balkanize education will not be tolerated. The president insisted that national schools are a shared national resource and must remain accessible to learners from all parts of the country based strictly on merit. Speaking during the Nyota Fund disbursement in Nakuru, where 9,800 youths received 25,000 shilling seed capital, the president highlighted the government's plan to reduce unemployment. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
President William Ruto has a message for leaders who have raised concerns over the placement of grade 10 learners in C1 schools, previously categorized as national schools.
Ndio mimi nataka niwaambie brainless bankrupt politicians who want to create barriers, who want to erect roadblocks. I want to tell them the reason why we have national schools is because we wanted to break down the barriers of colonialism and ethnicity.
The president dismissing claims that students from certain regions are being disadvantaged, maintaining that the placement system is structured to ensure equity and fairness across the country. Ruto taking a swipe at politicians fueling the debate, accusing them of advancing reckless and intellectually hollow arguments.
And we will not allow no politician, however desperate they may be, however bankrupt they may be, to erect new boundaries for our children. We want our children to learn in every institution that is available to them in Kenya.
The president, who spoke in Nakuru during the National Youth Opportunity Towards Advancement Nyota Project Funds disbursement, noted that the government is set to disburse 5 billion shillings in the next 3 months in 2 tranches of 2.5 billion shillings to the 100,000 youth across the country as seed capital. The funds will, however, only be available to youth aged between 19 and 29 years, particularly those who did not go beyond high school.
We are looking for people who have no qualification. The qualification here is if you have no qualification, because we want to support you to have qualification. Wiki tatu inayokuja tutakuwa tumepatiana 2.5 billion shillings to deserving young people in Kenya, 100,000 of them. And in another 2-3 months, tutawapatia another 2.5 billion vijana wetu wa Kenya.
The government has unveiled its plan for recognition of prior learning through the certification of those who acquired the skills by retraining them to assert their skills. According to the president, the government is targeting at least 20,000 youth for the program who will be trained and certified on the government course to allow them to tap into opportunities in the markets.
Kama wewe uko na skill yoyote, lakini hujasoma, hujapata nafasi ya kwenda college yoyote, lakini wewe uko na skill hiyo kwa sababu ya kufanya kazi hiyo kwa muda mrefu, we are ready to work with you so that we can empower you with training ya wiki 2-3, tukufanyie mtihani, alafu tukupatie certificate, na hiyo yote tutagharamia kama serikali ya Kenya.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
DCP Park.
Okay, there you have it. The president responding to what Gachagua talked about and other, I would say, Mount Kenya leaders on the aspect of disadvantaging the children that come from particular regions in the pretext of attempting to balance that national schools should be widespread in terms of the population that comes into that particular school. So this debate by Gachagua is based on the matters equalization fund and CDF, which are majorly meant for constituency development, and then of course these marginalized counties or marginalized regions to catch up with the other regions that had gone ahead by reason of the poor politics of siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. And so Gachagua argues out and says we have had CDF all along, and the equalization fund has been in existence for the past 13 plus years. He said, why is it that the national schools are still few and are still in certain section of the country, and other parts of the country don't have those national schools? And so because of that, the population and the demand of those spots in the national schools becomes very high, and therefore the children that are performed well, they are bright, they are supposed to be in national schools, miss out on the getting a slot in those national schools because of the quota system, where there has to be what is called, I think, regional balancing or something like that. And so, especially Mount Kenya has had, I think, the highest number of national schools or something like that. I don't have the statistics. If you have, you can let me know. But what is at play here is that now the children of Mount Kenya specifically, borrowing from what Gachagua said, are either being posted away from home or denied the opportunity to attend Mangu and those other national schools in their neighborhood because they are admitting students from Garissa, Marsabit, and other parts of the country. So there is that animosity build up on the aspect of why should we deny the people who are the hosts of those national schools and give opportunities to those that have come from far away. And the reason they are coming from far away is because there are no national schools in their neighborhood. So he's asking, why don't they have national schools in their neighborhood when they have been given equalization fund that was meant to ensure that they develop fast enough to catch up with the rest of the country. It sounds as a valid argument when you look at it objectively, in terms of explaining on are we really getting the purpose for the equalization fund? Are we having right priorities when it comes to where we are spending the CDF money? And that's something that is worth looking into, because we seem to be caught into a place where, as a country, we just want to keep in motion, but not make progress. We are caught up into activities, but no productivity. And so we just go through motions. 5 years, we have an election, we have new people in office, then the new people in office will maintain the problem, chaperone the problem, pretend as if they are solving the problem. 5 years elapses, we go for another election, and we've been like this for 62 years. And if nothing is done, we may be like this after another 100 years. And so something needs to happen in terms of, are we really serious about sorting out what bedevils this country, or we just want to play games and mind games with the people? And of course, I'll come back to that aspect of what Ruto is suggesting, looking out for the unqualified people so that they can qualify them, and dishing out 25,000 shillings to them as seed money for them to start businesses. I really have a problem with that. Not that the young people don't deserve the money, or they should not be given the money, but it is government spending money in an exercise that cannot be sustained. Yes, an exercise that cannot be sustained. Remember Hustler Fund? The purpose for Hustler Fund was to give affordable loans for mama mboga, mtu wa boda boda, and all that, so that their businesses are revamped and make profit. How has Hustler Fund performed? The money pumped into Hustler Fund, how much has it drawn? How much profit has it drawn? Do we have records for the same? And now, before dust now settles on Hustler Fund, we have come up with another fund of now giving out grants. Grants are money you don't get back. Grants are not loans. It's free money you're given out. And so this free money that is given out for me to go and sit and think of a business I can do. And, most of the businesses that are started never make it to their next birthday. So how do you run the country or develop the country with that kind of thinking, with that kind of approach? In my opinion, this is multiplying poverty and, just creating more crises as we go. I don't see much out of this. Free money is just free money, and it will soon be gone. And so the William Ruto approach towards reviving the economy of this country is wanting with every sense of the word wanting, except you have just refused to see what is wrong with the same. Let's listen now to what Gachagua said about the whole scenario of school allocation. Then we come back to look into something else. Please, if you're able to get us, invite somebody. Let's watch the show together. And then, of course, your point you can put in the comment section. We'll be able to voice them out and let the whole world hear what you think about the whole scenario. Here is Gachagua on matters school and allocations.
And the national debate over the placement of learners into Kenya's top secondary schools has once again taken center stage, following renewed remarks by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Speaking today in Nyeri, Gachagua defended his earlier comments on the school placement system, even as President William Ruto and other leaders pushed back, warning against politicizing education. And TV's Ibrahim Karanja reports.
The conversation around who gets placed in Kenya's prestigious national schools and why has been ongoing, driven by concerns over merit, equity, and national integration.
We are
Friday in Nyeri, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua addressed the matter once again, standing by his position that learners, particularly those living near established national schools, are disadvantaged during placement, despite posting strong examination results.
There must be fairness in the placement of children in national schools. I have not insisted, and I cannot, that children of a certain area must go to schools where those schools are domiciled. No. What I'm saying is, where the schools are domiciled, children from that area who qualify to go to those schools must be given an opportunity.
Gachagua argues that while national schools are meant to serve the entire country, the current placement process has left high-performing local learners feeling sidelined, fueling frustration among parents and leaders in the region. He insists his position is about fairness and not exclusion. However, the remarks have drawn strong criticism.
The reason why we have national schools is because we wanted to break down the barriers of colonialism and ethnicity. And we will not allow no politician, however desperate they may be, however bankrupt they may be, to erect new boundaries for our children. We want our children to learn in every institution that is available to them in Kenya. Especially our national schools must have access to all the children of Kenya equally.
President Ruto rejected Gachagua's assertions, reiterating that placement into senior schools is merit-based, automated, and guided by national integration principles. The president warned leaders against turning education into a political battleground, saying all children, regardless of region, have an equal right to attend national schools.
We will not allow anybody, however insane, however mad, however desperate, however tribal they may be, to balkanize our children. Our children will go to school because we are one indivisible nation called Kenya.
The placement of our children has been centralized at Jogoo House, which has brought in corruption. Because the bureaucrats sitting at Jogoo House have no capacity to know how to place kids. That is why we have a crisis where kids have been placed in a day school 300 kilometers away from their homes. How do people expect these children to go about their lives?
Several leaders and education stakeholders have also weighed in, accusing Gachagua of reopening ethnic fault lines and undermining the purpose of national schools, which were designed to bring learners from different backgrounds together. Others have backed the former deputy president, saying his remarks are valid and not tribal. After the press briefing in Nyeri, Gachagua proceeded to a political event in Kirinyaga. Upon reaching Sagana, his motorcade was pelted with stones, with several cars damaged. Donning a bulletproof vest, Gachagua alleged that police officers who blocked him were on an assignment to harm him. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
And the national debate over the
Okay, there you have it. Gachagua, his take on the issue of children being allocated in different schools. According to him, the locals should be given a priority if they qualify to be in the national schools than the foreigners, in quotes. And then, of course, William Ruto turning it against him by claiming that he is tribal, wants to cause divisions in education. As much as that could have some grounds, I still feel that the matters national schools needs not to be left to be, to those so-called national schools. The development of the country needs to be systematic, needs to be objective, and of course, geared towards solving important problem. Meaning that as at now, at 62 years of independence, we should not in any way be fighting over position or places in schools. We should be having schools everywhere, and children will not be needing to travel 500 kilometers, travel 400 kilometers to go to school. There's no need for that. And that can only work when we have a working government that is forward thinking and sorting out problems before they arise. These national schools we are fighting for, most of them are either on your build or, the initial stages of the independent Kenya that invested enough in education is what brought about these national schools. Why haven't we added more schools? For example, now children being admitted as early as standard 1, they have a number that is able to tell, the government is able to tell how many children do we have in Garissa, how many children do we have in Marsabit, how many children we have in Kakamega, how many children we have in Migori, Kisii, Kilifi, everywhere. Kwale, they are able to tell. Now, these kids, after they are born, they are taken to nursery school or wherever in the pre-primary school classes. All that information is with the government. And the government knows that by the time this, in the next 5 or 7 years, they will be needing a place in a secondary school. Now, before that time arrives, the government is able to provide that secondary school that is sufficient to accommodate the population because they are aware how many are sitting for the exam, how many are going to qualify, and where will they be taken. But this aspect of us scrambling for what we found, because we've been in the office for 10 years, we've been in the office for 20 years, but we never sat down to think that this is going to happen, and it may become a crisis if we don't solve it before it arises. So my argument here is, do we ever think ahead as a government? What is that we are solving before it arises? What makes us fit to be called a government is when we are able to solve things before they become a problem. And so this exchange, Gachagua and Ruto, to me is still a manifestation of irresponsibility. A manifestation of irresponsibility. Ruto is known for blaming others who have been in power for long and did nothing. And what he fails to tell us is that he has been a deputy president for 10 years. Okay? He should tell us what he did when he was deputy president for 10 years so that we do the records clearly and, his argument to be valid. What policies did he bring about? What changes did he bring about? What did he establish that we can say Deputy President William Ruto did this and this and this? And then, of course, he's been in politics from 1992. 92 up to now, it's over 40 years, okay? So the difference between Kalonzo Musyoka being in parliament and being in politics and William Ruto could be just 5 years. Yes, maybe 5 years, 4 years, thereabout. Because I think Alonso was first in parliament in 1988 and William Ruto 92. So 88, 92, the difference there is what? Around 5 years about. So what we are faced with here is are people who don't want to shoulder the responsibility. They just want to engage Kenyans in a futile debates that have no head or tail. And this is our unmaking. This is our unmaking. And for this, I believe we need as a people to resist this temptation of appearing busy when we are doing nothing, making noise when we are not delivering what we should deliver. In my opinion, Kenya as at now should not be having problem with healthcare service, should not be having any problem with education. We should not at all. That should be a thing of the past. Every 5 years, we should have more than double the number of schools in terms of capacity, in terms of quality, all over the country, so that children are spoiled for choices. But this scrambling for a school you found already built, already established, you have added nothing there. And you now want to fight that certain people have to be in certain places for these reasons. At times, I'm tempted to say we don't have a functioning government. It's obvious we don't have a functioning government. What we have is an arrangement of convenient people who wants to preside over our plight by making a kill in their pretext of wanting to help us. Because a functioning government doesn't work the way Ruto is working, doesn't work the way things are happening. If that scenario that Gachagua is explaining is anything to go by, we're in a collapsed government that a student is sent to a boarding school 300 kilometers, to a day school 300 kilometers away. So how does that even happen? And so to me, we have a long way to go. We need a country that can be predictable. This crisis after crisis is not the way development is enhanced. This is not the civilized world. And we are talking about going fast world. We're talking about we can't just handle something and get it working without it developing into a crisis. Look at the crisis Shah has brought about. Look at the crisis now, the new model of funding of higher education. We'll be discussing that, has created. Must everything the government does end up in a crisis? And if everything the government does ends up in a crisis, is that government able to having capacity to do what they should do? So these are the concerns that are really disturbing, And then the sad part is the president responds to them politically. You want to play politics with the children, with the livelihood of the Kenyan people. It's a very sad matter. And so we want to have a country that we are sure of everything. We are sure of everything. This guesswork must be brought to an end. And that is why the debate of 1 term, 2 term is something that Kenyans need to think deeply about it. Okay? Because it is how you are performed in the first term that either qualifies you for the second term or denies you the second term. So the proponent of 2 term, as if 2 term is a must have a rethink. The second term depends on your performance in the first term. If you don't pass the exam for the first term, you don't get promoted to second term. And so we must bring everything in the scale. and not just get caught up into the air argument of 2-term, 1-term. And in my opinion, the William Ruto administration and the way it has handled Kenyan issues, it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired. They don't deserve a second term. That's what I mean. They don't deserve the second term, because this is going to create more crisis, going to create more confusion. It's going to make Kenyans cry more, because whatever that was working, they make sure it doesn't work. Whatever that was favoring the population, they make sure that it's withdrawn. And so we end up with a government that we should take care of when it is, instead of the government taking care of us, we now become the ones taking care of our government. I don't know if you get the difference, but that is the beginning of what is called a failed state. So all government services will come to a halt because there's no money. There is no functioning systems. Well, let's look at that more on the aspect of this particular crisis, and then we switch gears shortly.
Anachukuliwa anapelekwa sijui which a very far area na apelekwa at boarding, anapelekwa day school. Is that really going to work? So we must agree as Kenyans that placement is flawed. Now the national government needs to sit and talk to the education officers on the ground. Wasaidie hawa watoto, ndio watoto wetu wasiende mbali. Watoto hawezi enda day school mahali hawana wazazi na mahali hawana mtu yeyote ya kukaa. Anachukuliwa anapelekwa sijui which a very far area na apelekwa at boarding, anapelekwa day school. Is that really going to work? So we must agree as Kenyans that placement is flawed. Now the national government needs to sit and talk to the education officers on the ground. Wasaidie hawa watoto, ndio watoto wetu wasiende mbali. Watoto hawezi.
Okay, there you have it, a complaint there of children being misplaced. Okay, the placement into the grade 10 is resulting into misplacement, where the considerations are not put in play. I remember when I was I did my primary in the village. Then I was to come for secondary, that is Form 1 in Nairobi. And the transfer process was tedious in the sense that to move from one province to another, or one district to another, you needed to be cleared at Jogo House. And so it wasn't just the agreement with the principal or like that, meaning it was known that index number so and so that was to go to Chavakali High School has not gone to Chavakali High School, so that position in Chavakali High School can be given to someone else. And then he has come to Nairobi, he has taken another place that had belonged to another person. And so the Ministry of Education was on top of matters, and children were not loitering around anyhow. And then also the callings and the distribution of the students in various schools, it had a human touch to it. A human touch to it, meaning the teachers, the principals that were running the program are the teachers. They know that we want to allocate this. These children are coming from this county, this sub-county, and the schools in those sub-counties or of that county are so and so. They have a capacity of so and so they can accommodate so and so number of students. But now it just that the William Ruto administration has subjected that process to be done by machine, AI, okay, computer. And it is the computer that is now throwing the students all over. Now, why should you allow that to happen when you know that AI doesn't know that Kericho Day is not in Cliffy? Some of these things are, I know they give you a headache for nothing. They give you a headache for nothing because that doesn't look like government. Even merry-go-round, hiyo maendeleo wanawake, it's run better. We need to be seeing something government. We need to see government working, systems working. And so you want to tell me that all these people in the Ministry of Education never saw that this running of names in the computer and picking schools by AI is going to be a crisis? They did not see that coming. And they're still qualified to run education. I wonder the quality of education then. If this is the quality of our management, this is the quality of administration, what kind of education will they offer to our children? A cry for my country. We need a better administration. And that is why, no matter what, we need to get a government that is indeed a government, not this caricature of things. Something needs to happen to this country. We must fix what is wrong with this country, and it begins by fixing the leadership. And so the debate of 1 term, 2 term needs to be changed. We need to get to the nitty-gritty. What have you done that makes you qualify for the 2nd term? What have you done that can Kenyans make you a 2-term president? That's a question Ruto needs to answer. Not for him to insult people that they don't have brains, that they don't have what. Let him answer. You can't be presiding over crisis and expecting us to add you more time to create for us more crisis. That, in my opinion, it's uncalled for. Well, the last one on education, before we get into the politics, there is, in fact, 2 more. Let's listen now to this first.
Well, high schools across the country have posted impressive results in the just-released 2025 KCSE examinations. Moi High School Kabarak leads the pack with a mean score of 10.59, the highest nationally this year. As Citizen TV's Marianne Nyambura reports, Alliance High School, Kapsabet Boys, Miranda High School, Alliance Girls, and Maseno School are among the schools that have also excelled in the 2025 KCSE.
Celebrations rocked Moi High School Kabarak in Nakuru. Just hours after Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba officially released the KCSE results, the school recorded a mean score of 10.59, up from 9.8 in 2024, the highest mean score in the school's history.
We had a total of 406 students. We had plain A's, 82 of them, 150 A-.
Out of the 406 students who sat their national exams, only 1 failed to attain the minimum university entry grade of C+ and above. Another giant school that shined in the 2025 KCSE exams is Alliance High School, which recorded a mean score of 10.47, up from 10.28 in 2024. Miranda High School in Siaya County was also among the top schools in the 2025 KCSE. 98.2% of the candidates will transition to the university. The school posted a mean score of 10.2. Muranga Boys High School also recorded a stellar performance in the 2025 KCSE. The school achieved a mean score of 10.16.
This is an improvement by 0.443. because last year we had scored 9.7 to CELO.
In Nandi County, Kapsabet Boys High School maintained its performance with a mean score of 10.0 in 2025, although the mean dropped slightly by 0.1 compared to 2024.
When we look at the C plus and above, it tells us only 5 students at C and C minor.
Maseno School recorded a mean of 9.8, while Asumbi Girls posted 9.7. At Meru Boys High School, 99% of candidates are expected to join university after attaining the C+ minimum grade for university entry, the school achieving a mean score of 9.97.
We end A plain 69, A minus 136.
In Kisii and Nyamira counties, Nyakongo Boys High School and Kiage Tumaini School also delivered strong performances, recording mean scores of 9.79 and 9.82 respectively.
All the students we had who did KCSE managed to get B minus and above. They started from grades of A, and the last student is a B minus.
At Alliance Girls High School in Nairobi, students filled the assembly grounds to celebrate their improved 2025 KCSE mean score of 10.1. The school continues to produce some of the country's best girls.
So A plane, they gave us our 58. A minus 179, B plus 149.
Lenana School remains among the top performing institutions. The school's chief principal, William Kemei, says the institution's mean score improved from 9.05 in 2024 to 9.49 in 2025. A similar story played out at Loreto Girls High School in Limuru, which also delivered a stellar performance in the 2025 KCSE results, recording a mean score of 9.404. Marianne Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, well, high schools across the country have posted.
Okay, there you have it, the performance of the KCSE around the country, different schools, and good performance there. Impressive. But I'm still tempted to ask, are these the Matiang'i A's? Are we getting back those A's that were, 100 and something, 200 and something A's? You remember when Matiang'i was cleaning up education? One of the things that he dared, he said we were going to see where those A's are going to come from. And the examination results began to be realistic. Realistic meaning not these abnormal marks. So is this that our students have indeed improved and our schools are performing well, or they are the mysterious A's that are manufactured by exam cheating? Well, time will tell. But in my opinion, the quality of education is proven in the performance of the student, not just the marks allocated to that particular student. So let's wait and see. But congratulations to those that have won and, of course, gotten a place in the university. We pray and wish them the very best. But I will still hold the education ministry responsible by how they are handling the issues of the students are not impressive at all. And we can't build a nation with that kind of unsystematic and planned way of running education. If anything, education needs to be more systematic, more programmed. It should be the most predictable aspect of government investment. And left for me, education should be getting the lion's share of the budget, because this is the engine that manufactures the human resource for the country, hence the progress of the country. And so we can't starve education and be expecting quality students to come from those compounds of institutional learning. And so let's wait and see. This is mysterious, but let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. I don't want to be the doubting Thomas, but I think as a country we have a long way to go. And of course, that brings us to the next crisis in the same fraternity of education, and that is the place for the university. The place for the university. There is already a crisis for funding the students that are already in the university, and now we have 227,000 now that have been added to that number. Will the Ruto administration be able to handle this addition? Let's hear the
Well, Kenya is facing an unprecedented surge in the number of students eligible for university admission. Results released today show that more than 270,000 candidates have attained a C+ and above, the highest number recorded in the last 8 years, and a sharp rise from last year's performance. But as the celebrations erupted in schools and homes across the country, the focus shifted from academic success to the cost of sustaining it. And with public sponsorship already under pressure and thousands more students expected to seek government support, the burden now moves squarely to the state and the decisions it will make to fund this growing university population. Here's NTV's Ashley Atieno with the details.
Celebrations broke out across the country today as thousands of families received news that years of sacrifice had paid off. With the release of the KCSE results, more than 270,000 candidates attained a C+ and above, earning the chance to pursue university education, the highest number recorded in the last 8 years. For parents and students, this was more than a grade, rather a doorway to opportunity. Schools marked the milestone with pride, applause and relief. For instance, at Meru National School, celebrations followed an exceptional performance that saw 99% of candidates qualify for university admission. 69 students scored grade A, while 136 attained A-, pushing the school's mean score to 9.97, an improvement from 9.36 the previous year.
I am saying our strength is teamwork. Our strength is dedication. Our strength is working as one team without any reservations.
But beyond the celebration lies a defining question. For every student who has earned a university place, there is now the issue of who will finance that journey. This year's results pushed the national transition rate to 27%, up from 25% last year, translating to tens of thousands of additional students seeking government support.
From a historical perspective, we have always noted that 90% of the students who get C+ and above are the ones who, again, ask for placement. 10% will not ask. They will either go for TVET colleges or go outside the country. They look at other pathways. So if you calculate from there, 90%, it means we'll be left with about 243,000 students. And then from the 243,000 students, we also expect 90% of those to apply for the loan. So in the next financial year, we expect that about 201 thousand students will be able to, no, 219,000 students will be able to apply.
Already, the government is sponsoring more than 577,000 students across public and private institutions. To meet rising demand, and according to the CEO of HELP, funding has steadily increased from 17 billion shillings in the 2022-2023 financial year to 32 billion, then 34 billion, and now 41 billion shillings in the current cycle. An additional 6 billion shillings is expected to be considered as the budget process continues.
No one should be able to worry. We are working with the Ministry of Education and the National Treasury to ensure that all the students who will be seeking placement in our public institutions will be able to be funded.
In the current financial year alone, HELP has funded 661,000 students, with 268,000 already receiving upkeep funds, amounting to 1.5 billion shillings. And as Kenya celebrates academic progress, the results have delivered a clear message to policymakers. How the government responds will determine whether this record-breaking success becomes a lasting investment or an unsustainable burden. Ashley Atieno, NTV.
Well, Kenya is facing an unprecedented...
Okay, there you have it, as an anticipated crisis as we celebrate the KCSE students. Those abnormal A's that I have pointed at, this majority of these people who have qualified for university places may not get necessary funding to pursue their career or their studies to the full. And listening to that guy there, in the aspect of ensuring that education is indeed an investment that the government values, you note that he's talking about 10% will go abroad, the other 10% will go to TVET, and then the other percent will go. So it's not holistic. It's not holistic. In other words, if all these people decided to go to university, we will not have capacity. And so even the government itself anticipates that although we have this 270,000, we hope that maybe 100,000 will go elsewhere so that we only deal with the 170. You listening to that, you notice here that we have people that are not prepared to shoulder the capacity of the people that they have, presided over and ensured that they passed there. And this is the same thing I'm talking about, having a government that wants to do the least and get the most. A government that wants to avoid responsibility but be clapped for, but be celebrated. And so this madness is what I pray that we bring to an end. When it comes to matters education, let there be enough money for anyone who wants to go to school to learn. To learn. Not that we begin to slice and say, we slice here and say, so that the few, and hope that the rest will go to private, the others will go to TVET, and others. By the time these students are sitting for exam, the government should have rolled out how the money for them to learn to the last day of their university education. That should be ahead of time available. That's when we are in education. But this one, we are hoping that some will fall out and some will not go. Well, let me just leave it there. Well, that is it with our education crisis, and it zeroes into one thing. We have a leadership crisis. Our country is being run like a kiosk. Even a kiosk is run better. And when that happens, we are signing in for disaster. We're signing in for disaster. We are wasting our children, keep them in those four walls for 4 years, 5 years, and when they step out, they are not prepared for anything. They're not able to do anything. And so it's a matter of creating a crisis, postponing a crisis, and, looking into a crisis, praying that that crisis will not happen. That is not it. We need a leadership that is indeed serious about each and every aspect of life: education, healthcare, food security, safety. Those things cannot be guesswork. They need to be practical and, executable with precision. That's when we're having a working government. But what we're hearing here is disaster. It's terrible that at this point at this time and age, we're still functioning like Stone Age. It is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. I long for a Kenya that is indeed Kenya for all Kenyans, where no child misses to get quality education because of lack of school fees or lack of enough schools or enough institution. That should have been taken care of long time ago. When JM Kariuki was talking about a country of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars, the population of Kenya was less than 10 million. We have grown from 10 million to now we are approaching 60. And we are scrambling for the infrastructure of 10 million. And then you want to tell us that we've been having functioning governments? They were functioning in what? If they were not anticipating the increase in population and building infrastructure to be able to counter that increase in population. What I understand about being the leader of the nation is that I'll be having 100,000 students. I should have enough classrooms for 100,000 students. Should have enough desk for 100,000 students. I should have enough teachers for 100,000 students. That is a government that is working. But this one that is hoping and wishing and all that, not for me. We deserve better and we need better. So tuachane tu na ujinga. Inji, we deserve better than this. And that is why the political decision you make on who you put in the seat of power is an important decision. Don't joke with it. It determines the kind of life you have. Kumbuka Mzee Moi, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Haya, kwa hilo swala la siasa, naomba tukarejelee kwa hilo kwa kifupi tu, alafu tuanze kufungasha. Nashukuru wote ambao mnajiunga nasi. Tuko live kwa YouTube, TikTok, as well as Facebook. Now, there is, of course, the ODM crisis. We'll revisit that. But there are two things at play here. The William Ruto underhand of trying to eliminate other political parties in favor of his political party called UDA. And this has been one of the things that I have a problem with when it comes to William Ruto leadership. William Ruto is applying the politics of sabotage, the politics of elimination, and those kind of politics don't help the country much. Winning against your opponent because you took advantage of his weakness or you maneuvered and ensure he doesn't discover that you are finishing him. That's cheating. That's cheating. And so there is some undertones that are coming up right now about the moves that William Ruto is making. And one of it is that he goes for a handshake with Raila Odinga of ODM, But his aim is not the handshake and it's not the cooperation. His aim is how can he infiltrate ODM and dismantle it. Okay? And you see what's playing right now? It's on how to cut ODM to size, dismantle ODM, make it weak, make it a small party. That's what is at play. And so he's here smiling with Wanga, Oburu, and the rest of his sycophants in ODM. But behind, he has put up a machinery on how they can uproot ODM from their grassroots and replace them with UDA. The same thing is happening in Kakamega, and we had that same story going on in the Coast region, which are traditionally ODM stronghold. And so this relationship of friendship between William Ruto and other political parties is ill-conceived. Ill-conceived in the sense that Ruto is only wanting them not to be aggressive and then take advantage of that and dismantle their roots. And that doesn't develop our democracy, and it doesn't even show somebody that respects democracy or values competition. He really ran against himself like Mama Suluhu. He really wants to be left in the field alone and be the peacock as the rest dance around him. This is becoming out clear. And so why I bring up this is the recent revisit of Baringo. Remember, there was a handshake between him and Gideon Moi, and wherever a deal was cut so that Moi doesn't run for the by-election senatorial seat for Baringo. It appears that the Mois have seen what is indeed behind the handshake. It is not cooperation. It is not revamping and serving the country. It is actually replacing KANU zones with UDA, replacing ODM zones with UDA, replacing other regions that are known to be, followers of this political party by intensifying the onslaught on those political parties and adding the gains on UDA. I don't know whether that is the way politics is done, but you will tell me.
President William Ruto today returned to Baringo County amid deepening uncertainty over his political marriage with KANU chairman Gideon Moi, a relationship that only months ago appeared sealed with a handshake at Kabarak and the collapse of a senatorial contest. The visit, his first since October, comes as KANU insiders accuse the president of reneging on key promises, raising questions about whether State House is now seeking to bypass the Moi family altogether and entrench UDA dominance in Baringo. Our reporter David Mudhoka takes a closer look at the politics beneath today's development tour.
President William Ruto's return to Baringo Friday was wrapped in the language of development, but the politics of power, loyalty, and broken promises loomed large over the visit. This was Ruto's first trip back since October's symbolic stop at Kabarak, where he publicly embraced KANU chairman Gideon Moi and spoke of partnership under the broad-based government.
Tumeongea na my brother Gideon Moi na tumekubaliana na yeye anisaidie tupange mambo ya taifa letu la Kenya.
That visit quickly translated into political action as within days, Gideon Moi had controversially withdrawn from the Baringo senatorial by-election, clearing the path for a UDA candidate to win unopposed by KANU, a move widely read as the clearest sign yet that a deal had been struck.
I was prepared for the election. You were also prepared. But the president knows why I never made it to the ballots.
Mimi nataka tukubaliane na nyinyi. Mkubali ili sasa tuwe na formal engagement kati ya KANU, sindio? Ili KANU sasa iwe part of the government of Kenya. So mnajua tuko na serikali ya mapana na marefu, inaitwa broad based. Sasa tupanue hii serikali, KANU ikuwe katikati yake, ndio tupange mambo ya Kenya pamoja.
3 months later, the alliance appears to be unraveling. Senior KANU officials now privately concede that the commitments which underpinned that withdrawal, ranging from senior government appointments to the settlement of long-standing financial claims, have yet to be honored. Friday's events only amplified those doubts. Notably, Gideon Moi was absent as President Ruto crisscrossed parts of Baringo, launching projects and making promises directly to residents, a move that may have signaled a shift in strategy from elite bargains to grassroots consolidation.
Na nyinyi wanaume mbona mnakaa ati mnajifanya nyinyi innocent? Kwani nyinyi ni innocent?
In Mogotio, the president laid the foundation stone for a 528-unit affordable housing project, commissioned the Mogotio Modern Market, and inspected the Mogotio Sports Academy. Ruto announced that the government is investing 15 billion shillings in Baringo for the construction of 5,000 affordable housing units, 10 modern markets and hostels to accommodate thousands of students. Projects, he said, will create jobs and restore dignity to small-scale traders.
Leo we have come to open a modern market. Hapa tuko na soko sasa ambayo tumetengeneza safi. Iko na maji, iko na stima, iko na vyoo, iko na wifi, iko na cold room, iko na mahali ya watoto kunyonyeshwa, iko na mahali ya watoto kucheza. Nyinyi mnanielewa?
The president also launched the tamakin of the Sirwa to Kimmoron Road, part of a wider plan to upgrade more than 700 kilometers of roads across Baringo County, a project valued at over 39 billion shillings. Beyond infrastructure, Ruto leaned heavily into youth politics. At the Nakuru ASK showground, he launched the disbursement of over 240 million shillings in Nyota startup capital across Rift Valley counties, including Baringo, a constituency critical to any 2027 electoral calculus. Nearly 10,000 young people received an initial funding of 22,000 shillings, with 3,000 shillings in additional savings deposited into their NSSF accounts.
Kuna mtu atakuambia, shilingi 50,000 ni pesa kidogo. Mimi nataka umuulize, kama 50 ni kidogo, si unipatie mingi kuliko 50?
Vijana wangu kutoka Nakuru County, what I want to promise you, approach our Department of Trade. Mukishapata hizo pesa zenyu na mukianza hizo biashara zenyu, I will give you a waiver.
Safari ya kufanya biashara imewekwa na serikali kikamilifu. Wewe kazi yako ni kuona ya kwamba ile biashara ambayo unafanya unaijua vizuri.
Katiba ya Kenya Article 55 inazungumzia haki ya vijana wa taifa la Kenya, kwamba vijana wa taifa la Kenya wana haki pia kushikiliwa na tusiwaone kama laana katika taifa la Kenya.
For KANU, however, the message from Friday's visit was unmistakable. With UDA family in control of the Baringo Senate seat and State House increasingly engaging voters directly, the Moi family's traditional role as kingmakers in the county appears to be shrinking. Whether this marks the quiet collapse of the Ruto-Moi pact or a tactical pause before fresh negotiations remains unclear. What is certain, though, is that Baringo is fast becoming a testing ground for President Ruto's broader strategy, which is building political dominance not through negotiated alliances, but through development-driven mobilization. And in a region that once defined KANU's grip on power, that shift could redraw the political map ahead of 2027. David Muthoka, NTV.
President William Ruto today returned to Baringo County amid a deepening uncertainty.
Okay, there you have it. You can see a cleverly calculated moves that William Ruto is making in his attempt to pretend to be galvanizing the country and working with different political parties. But behind that, he's raiding those political parties and their control zones. That's where I can see dishonesty and, of course, seduction kind of distributing goodies so that you win the hearts and the minds of the people. This politics is the old KANU politics where you are bribed to be and do what you need to do. And this is what made the Moi economy to grind to a halt. And there was no money for infrastructure, there was no money for education, there was no money for healthcare. We had hospitals, there was no medicine in hospitals. All of you that grew up during Moi's time, you attest to what I am saying. If we will go forward, then we should run away from this backward politics of excusing dishonesty and or lies by calling them smartness and calling them cleverness. In my opinion, it is clear William Ruto does not intend to have a country where the politics is healthy and the politics is democratically sound. He wants some twisted kind of arrangement. He comes peacefully, but in that peace, he's still fighting you. So I think this is another revival of the war between the Rutos and now the Mois, having comfortably taken the the Senate seat in Baringo. He seems now to appear like he doesn't need Moi anymore, and he can do without Moi. That is the message that is being displayed there. And this is the same thing that we see playing at the coast, where Aisha Jumwa talks about tunataka chama chetu cha pwani kama wapwani, tujisimamie sisi kama wapwani. And so he wants the coast region to move away from ODM and join their coast party, and that is going to minimize and make ODM smaller. What is happening in Western Kenya? Western Kenya, he has captured Baraza, the governor of Kakamega, of course, with his deputy, and then taken this other, where there is the Bungoma section. So in all that, like it is rumored that Baraza, Oparanya, and who else? Their main mission is to turn Western Kenya into yellow. Make sure that the Kakamega people, the Busia people, the Bungoma people shift from ODM and join UDA. In other words, the peace agreement and the ceasefire that ODM offered UDA and KANU offered UDA results into them being raided, so that they now have no choice but to work with UDA, because UDA becomes the majority party, the most dominant party, the most popular party. And to me, that is one, messing up the democratic space. Two, it is indeed an avenue for planting discord and animosity between different leaders and different communities. In my opinion, the William Ruto approach to leadership is not for the modern Kenya. It's not for the modern Kenya. And any person with their right senses can see that clearly. We're having a leadership here that doesn't want to appreciate that different opinions are important and different way of thinking is important and different political parties is healthy and necessary for the operations of the country. Now, not necessarily meaning that when we have multi-party democracy means everything will be okay. What I mean is that it's a constitutional requirement. And if it's a constitutional requirement that we are a multi-party democracy, and I am the president should be able to cultivate and enhance that multi-party democracy because that's what's acknowledged by our constitution. Now, when you begin to sabotage and kill and meddle with political parties, making them useless, you are indeed attacking the constitution and or rather maneuvering to turn the constitution to turn the country back to one party single party state. And if this continues, that's what is going to happen exactly. And so I really find the William Ruto approach to this party association very, very, very mischievous. And all the players need to be keen and be careful. And so all the wrangles you are seeing in the ODM are all William Ruto instigated. And they are instigated so that ODM doesn't pose a threat to UDA when it comes to the general elections. And instead of him building UDA, he's concentrating on destroying ODM, destroying KANU, destroying Ford Kenya, destroying DAP Kenya. And that's the paradox. Why should you want to key into, instead of building your party, you are investing in destroying other people's parties? That's backward, to say the least. That's backward. It's primitive. It's primitive. We don't need it. We don't need it. You don't have to kill people and destroy their properties, their legacy, simply because it is a threat to you. The best way to deal with it is to become the best. Become the best. To stay ahead, you have to keep ahead. Keep ahead by, of course, covering more distance than everyone else in terms of your quality, your commitment, your integrity, and all that. But this too much machinery deployed to destroy political parties so that a political party can be the only political party around, it's uninvited, it's uncalled for. And so beware of that. And on that note, we begin to close. It's a few minutes to 2 a.m. East African time. But on that particular note, let's just listen to Emilio Odhiambo on the issue of the rankles in the ODM party. And thereafter, we look at the election rigging. We're out of
fingers at different people. There are those who will point fingers at the President William Samoei Ruto. There are people who will point fingers at retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. That's not the issue. The issue is to look inward. Our challenges are self-inflicted. We must come as a party and look inwardly and solve our issues internally and stop blaming other people. We are the ones inflicting harm upon ourselves. We are creating a lot of confusion with our membership. And in our statement, you notice that we have said that we are concerned about the curious emergence, concurrent and strategic emergence of small parties and entities in our hitherto strongholds. And in politics, there are no accidents or coincidences. So we are calling our party to be alert and be more inward looking and solve our issues through an internal spitting session, if need be. But the theatrics that we are doing here is not helpful And it is unfortunate coming just 2 months after Baba has died. Can we not at least honor Baba and the memory of Baba with some decorum, with some decency, and even giving, just giving credence to the legacy that he held of tolerance and unity as a party. As a movement, we are really losing focus, and we need to refocus and get our ways back, and which is the way of Baba. Thank you. Fingers at different people. There are those who will point fingers.
Now, how do you go and tell ODM kwamba ati unataka wao utakubali waingiliwe, na huku sasa mtu alikuwa anaitwa Camargo, what is the name? Camargo. Yani kura zilikuwa zinatekwa nyara between the polling station and the server. Forget it, my brother Giju, you are with William Wakatuo, but this is the truth. It has come out. Very interesting things are coming out of Venezuela. Hii ilikuwa timu ya Venezuela. The truth is now known. Viparanga va computer was real. And definitely, Ruto himself alikuwa product ya computer. Sio product ya what? Now, how do you go and tell ODM?
Mheshimiwa Eugene, weekend ya tarehe 5 na tarehe 6 ilikuwa Saturday and Sunday, mwezi wa 7 mwaka huu umepita. Jose Camargo na Hussein Marijan walikuwa wanafanya nini State House the whole weekend? I'm challenging them. Watuambie how Marijan na Jose Camargo ambaye ndiye mkubwa wa hiyo Smartmatic, na mnakumbuka aliposhikwa na ule DCI alikuweko Kinoti, walipelekwa kwa mtu anaitwa Abdullahi na walikuwa na vifaa vya IEBC documents. So it is very clear. Kile kitu inafanya William Ruto ashinde akitukana sisi, akisema huyu Rigiji, huyu Kalonzo, sisi toze hatuna akili, ni kwa sababu anafikiria vile yule commissioner ambaye ndiye local partner wa Smartmatic, na sasa huyo commissioner ni advisor wake. Tuongee ukweli, ule amemfanya advisor yake pale. Anafikiri sasa tayari ameshinda, amesema atafanya kazi, kila mtu atakuja atoe aoneshe ile kazi amefanya. William Ruto, wewe ndio uko kwa serikali. Mheshimiwa Eugene, weekend ya tarehe 5 na tarehe 6 ilikuwa Saturday and
Okay, there you have it. Different leaders there giving their view about the politics and what is at play. And what you can see there clearly is that relationship with William Ruto and political parties is not a healthy one, and is not contributing towards our multi-party democracy constitution. And then, of course, Kalonzo there bringing up the rigging of the elections of 2022 in favor of William Ruto. And JB Muturi there giving an expose that the players, the people who presided over the rigging of the 2022 elections were spotted where? At the State House. They spent a weekend at the State House in July. And so from those, pieces, we can begin to see a pattern of preparation for rigging 2027 elections, because it appears that the Kenya Kwanza administration know that they will not be elected by Kenyans, know that they cannot win a free, fair, and credible election, and so they must put their machinery to try and deceive Kenyans by Kenyans queuing and vote for one person, and then the other person is declared a winner. And this is one place we must as well begin to fight to get out of, because this country will never progress as long as we have a president we didn't vote for, a governor we didn't vote for, a senator we didn't vote for, a member of parliament we didn't vote for, a member of county assembly we didn't vote for. They don't owe us anything because we didn't vote for them. And if they are products of computers and they whatever mixing up of facts, they owe their allegiance to the computer. They owe their allegiance to the people who crafted the rigging machinery. And that is why probably the reason why members of parliament don't care about us anymore. They don't care about us anymore. You saw the way they handled the finance bill 2024 after the outcry, Kenyans demonstrating and saying no to the finance bill. They went and passed it. Why would they pass it if they are indeed our product? They went to parliament by our voting. They will listen to us if we voted for them. And now that they have an in-between machinery that can make them win without them being voted for, can make them members of parliament without them being ratified by Kenyans, that is why they are numb when it comes to the outcry of the Kenyan people. And so a time has come that as a country, we must begin to tell ourselves the truth. We will not have free, fair, credible elections as long as we let what is going on to continue. And William Ruto is not planning to leave office 2027, all of it in the pretext that he is able to put up a machinery to do what? Rig himself back. So Wakenya mtakubali haya yaendelee ama kuna nini? Lazima tuchague cha kufanya. Lakini kwangu mimi, the more we lie and rig and have a false president, a false member of parliament, a false governor, the worse we are making this country to be. The bad image we are creating, the bad manners we are transferring to our children. And so the consequences of our falsehoods and our lies and our rigging and our cheating is not ending with us. It's sowing seed that will affect the coming generations. And that is one place I want to call us to. Because some of us, we tend to think that William Ruto peke yake ndio muongo ama masuala kama hayo. Sitaki kufungua hiyo new chapter, muda wangu umeyoma, napaswa kuondoka. Lakini kile ninachosema ni kwamba kuiba urais, kuiba ugavana, kuiba useneta, kuiba ubunge ama MCA, kuna kufanya mwizi mara ya kwanza, na kuna kufanya mtu ambaye sio mwaminifu. Hawezi kuaminika na hawezi kutegemewa. Na kama wewe ndio unasimamia rasilimali, basi wizi itakuwa normal. And so for us to get this country working, we must bring the country back to the rule of law and everybody to be equal in the eye of the law. And the elections should be conducted for them to indeed get the right choice of the people of Kenya, not for elections to be formality. Because Hussein Marijan and Jose Camarigo, it is elections as a formality. Elections as a formality. There's nothing. You can queue, you can vote whatever you want to vote. We'll declare the person we want. We are destroying the same things we are building. We are destroying the same institutions we are building. It's evil. So why should we now? You saw the budget requested by the IEBC. I think it was 62 billion to conduct an election. Last election was 42. Now it has gone up by 20. It's now 62. So we invest 62 billion in an election, and that election becomes a formality. A charade that has no significance. No. This country deserves better. And so I pray that God will intervene in this matter. For once, we need a president we have elected. We need MCS we have elected. We need members of parliament we have elected. Vifaranga vya computer viishe. Tukue na nchi ambayo tunajivunia kwamba huyo ni wangu, nilimpigia kura, sio yule ambaye alitengenezwa na Venezuela. Well, it's terrible. It's terrible. Inspire Women says no elections will work in Kenya, not under Kidinji. Number 7 might repeat itself. Exactly, and we pray that there will be a turnaround. Me, I know that Kenya can only be fixed by an act of God. An act of God, something beyond human understanding. Because if this is what is already taking place, and Ruto is speaking with impunity, then he knows what he's doing. And so an act of God is what I'm invoking over this country. An act of God that will give us a president that the people have elected, and of course the other elective seats. In the meantime, I want to salute every one of you for being part and parcel of the conversation on Sound Candid Talk. I thank you so much for always supporting us, watching, and of course participating in the show. I look forward to meeting you again in the next program. I encourage you to be part of what makes things happen here. Tusaidie kulipa hii light ili muendelee kuonekana. Unajua mimi ni black, bila ya light itaonekana hata. So kuna hii wale mko TikTok, kuna hapa ukiangalia hapa kuna till number 516575. Hapo ukituma pesa ya token itafika. Buy goods and services 516575. Tutaweza kununua tokens and of course kulipa wifi, na tutakuwa hapa kila usiku kuchambua siasa. Ningependa kuwashukuru sana, nikitazamia kukutana nanyi katika masafa mengine katika vipindi vitakavyofuata. Cha muhimu, wajibika, shika doria, tuanze kupambana na huu uovu mapema tu. Kama tutachelewa tutapigwa dafrao. Wakati umefika, kila mmoja wetu ajihami ipasavyo na tuwe tayari kukomboa nchi yetu, ili nchi ikaongozwe kwa njia ambayo inafaa na tulinde rasilimali kwa vizazi vijavyo. Asanteni sana, tukutane tutakapokutana. Mungu awabariki.